So I read this weekend that the TSA is going to stop screening the uniform pilots, which is a good thing because that's nutty, but it's also unfortunate because that was a good ally in fighting back against these screening procedures. And it's really just ridiculous, the screening procedures, taking off your shoes, or just a lot of the assumptions we put up with because we don't want to question them. Like, why, if I buy an airline ticket, I can't give that to somebody else? It's like, oh, because used to, you could just give somebody a ticket. Here's a ticket. It's for this flight, and you give it to them. And personally, I think that's fine. You have to go and show your ID. If you're on the no-fly list, well, I think that's bullshit too, the no-fly list. It should be a matter of if there is a warrant out for your arrest, they will check when you get on a plane. I think that's fine. But there is the no-fly list, and so why couldn't somebody just go and give their ID? Well, you could come up with some reasons for that, but why, if I buy a ticket for somebody, I can't transfer it to somebody else ahead of time? Like within 2 weeks or something before the flight. I mean, just no amount of time. Why? Because they don't have to. Because this assumption of security, that the ticket is attached to a particular individual, and somehow it's a danger out of us if somebody sends in a form that says, no, I want somebody else to use this ticket. It's just ridiculous. This stuff is not for our security. Those scanning machines, those don't help our security. Those were sold as a pork boondoggle to give money to the people that make those machines, to sell some, gadget that we don't really need. And, it's just, you get in your car, it's dangerous. There's all kinds of things that are dangerous. And people are just petrified. Look, security, first of all, there's certain principles of security, of smart security, and and risks that you can take, and it's all to be determined by the statistics. Where do the threats actually lay, not just some made up that, well, wouldn't it be secure to do this? I've dealt with this a lot in computers. You have a lot of problem with system administrator types. They want to control machines and stuff. As a programmer, I can't let them do that. I have to have control of my machine, and I will take control of it. I have physical access to my machine. You cannot keep me out of a computer that I have physical access to. That's just a fact. And, the only way around that fact is if you lock the physical access away from people. Okay. And this tendency, this psychological tendency, is really strong, and it's just gotten out of hand, and it's ridiculous that we're being fear-driven to the point where we accept that we can't transfer our airline tickets to someone else. And there is that's not like, arguing that somebody shouldn't just be able to give a ticket and it has no name attached to it. And yet we don't even question it because there's one grain of truth that maybe that's a little more dangerous than making people, prepare 2 weeks in advance or just a week in advance to transfer their ticket to somebody else. I can accept that kind of thing, but it's never stopping there. The whole screening pilots, people that are about to be in control of the airplane itself, what the hell? That is just so obviously evidence that the control infrastructure, the security infrastructure, is out of its goddamn mind. And it disgusts me that people are for this. It'd be one thing if it was just being forced down our throats. But I talk to people about this, and they're like, oh, but I'm scared, and I'd rather do this than, I'd rather wear a paper suit on my flights than, that's not the kind of freedom and security that I particularly am interested in. And Obama is coming out praising the techniques. It's just piling on more and more ridiculous techniques. Nobody ever made a shoe bomb. This isn't Get Smart. That didn't work. And now we're all taking off our shoes. Millions and millions of people wasting seconds of their life that add up to hours and hours and hours so they could take off their shoes take off my flip-flops, you know, flip-flops, just little plastic sandals. What the hell are you going to get in there? You know, a razor blade, there's a metal detector. You know, I was okay with the metal detectors, fine, and I'm really okay with the steel doors on the cockpits. That does way more than any of these other procedures. You know, steel doors on cockpits, you know, and just procedures whereby, you know, the way you react to demands